Hey everybody, Sean here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today back in Dead by Daylight, grabbing the Adept Trapper achievement. This is to get a merciless killer rating in a game with the Trapper only using his 3 unique perks. This one's going to be done from the killer's side. You're going to have to play as the Trapper. You're going to have to get him to at least level 10 in order to get the 3 free perk slots. These are the 3 perks that you want to equip: Unnerving Presence, Brutal Strength, and then Agitation. You cannot equip anything for the 4th slot if you do have it available, since you can only use these 3 perks. Now, to get a merciless killer, you're going to have to perform well enough in all 4 of the major killer categories. I recommend playing on a map with a bunch of choke points on it, so I recommend something like Suffocation Pit, which is going to be tailor-made for the main strategy of the Trapper. Now, once the game starts, what I recommend doing is gathering some traps and then setting them up in your usual points, so next to a generator, or start setting them up next to choke points. If you happen to stumble across the survivors along the way, especially a group of them, make sure you start chasing them right away. Take advantage of the Trapper's pretty good stats. He has a pretty decent movement speed as well as reach with his basic attack, so you should be able to hit a survivor from a chase, so you can take advantage of this. He's a pretty good survivor to learn the game with. However, to take advantage of him from a strategic standpoint, you want to make sure you look for choke points on the map. I highly recommend looking for the Killer Shack, especially if it has the basement beneath it, and then setting up traps on both of its doors as well as its window. Survivors tend to like to go through the Killer Shack in order to not only go for items if the basement is below it, but it is also a good way to try to get the dodge on the killer. So what you can do is you can trap all 3 of the entrances/exits, and you can pretty much trap any survivor who wants to take advantage of it. If there's a generator near the shack, make sure you try your best to damage it as often as possible. You want to make sure you try to bait survivors towards that generator and then give them a chase through the killer shack to go through our various trap setup. Also, take advantage of the other choke points in the map. Obviously, you want to make sure you spread your strategy around. Another good area in the Suffocation Pit to use is going to be the mine shaft. Survivors tend to try to run through also to get the dodge on the killer, and it's a good place to funnel them through, especially if they take the wrong way down into the dead end, and then you can take advantage of any kills that way. And then finally, the last type of choke point you want to take advantage of is going to be a hill that has a hook on top of it. What you can do is you can bring a survivor that you've downed up to this hook. Then you could set up a trap at the top of the hill and then at the bottom of the hill. Really useful if there's a generator nearby too, since survivors will also accidentally trip this while going for the generator. Then you can carry them off, put them on the hook, and that should bring in more altruistic survivors who try to rescue them, and they should set off your traps. Also, they should give you a chase, and there's no obstacles in the way, so more likely than not, they are going to jump off the hill, and then you can just jump off and then slash them in the air and then get a quick hit in that way. And those are going to be the major strategies you want to take advantage of with the Trapper. It's all going to be about managing the map, your choke points, and the traps that you use to set them up. So make sure you give the survivors a good chase and then try to bait them towards these choke point sweet spots. Hopefully that they take the bait. If they don't take the bait, you can also take advantage of the Trapper's pretty solid base stats, his pretty quick movement speed, as well as his long reach for his normal attack. Whenever you hook a survivor, try your best to place a trap directly under them. That way anyone who's trying to rescue them can hit up the trap. Remember, the game is going to punish you for camping by reducing points from your chaser category, which will affect your merciless rating. So make sure you don't camp the hooks, and make sure you back up a reasonable amount and let your traps take care of anyone who is trying to rescue their teammates. Trapper's long reach is a great strategy to fall back on because it's going to give you a good advantage on any survivors who are trying to give you the slip, either through vaulting or trying to round corners. As you can see, you can hit people from pretty far away, so make sure you manage the timing and the distance well. So to play effectively as the Trapper, you want to combine this basic chase the survivors and put them on hook strategy around with our choke point strategy. Make sure you take advantage of the 2. Remember, whenever someone steps into one of your traps, it should give you a notification, so you are able to micromanage both of these at the same time, as long as you are also paying attention of what's going on in the background. Another reason to juggle the 2 strategies is because it's going to fill out certain points towards categories that the other strategy is going to be lacking in. So, for example, the choke point strategy is going to be a little lacking in the chaser category. So you definitely want to take advantage of both to fill out the potential categories that you need to fill out in order to get a merciless killer rating. So again, try your best to micromanage between the 2, and you should be able to whittle out the 4 survivors eventually. Don't forget to take your time. It's all about strategy with this one and how effectively you take advantage of your choke points and how you are moving between them. Back to the strategy of choke points. If you happen to have a basement underneath your killer shack, take advantage of this. This one's going to be a huge strategical benefit simply because if you manage to trap someone by chasing them through the killer shack, make sure you pick them up, put them in the basement, and then reset your traps, the two on the door as well as the window. Basements only have one way in and one way out, so anyone who's foolish enough to try to rescue whoever you trap in the basement should be trapped as well. Remember to manage your distance as well. You always want to keep a reasonable distance away, not too close that you are going to lose points in the chaser category, but not too far away where you can't take advantage of the super cheap trap right here that we have set up on the two doors and the window. So make sure you manage this. Same goes for the other choke points. So if you are playing on this map, remember the mine shaft is going to be a really good checkpoint, as you can see right here. If you chase someone into the dead end, make sure you take them out and then take advantage of this one way in, one way out location, and then you should be able to score an easy down right here. And of course, last but not least is going to be the last major type of choke point strategy, which is going to be the hook on top of the hill, especially if there's a generator next to it. A really good place to put the trap is going to be at the foot of the hill. That way you have two things to bait a survivor with here. The hook on top if there is a victim on it, as well as the generator, and you should be able to hide the trap pretty well and then punish whoever is going to be passing by. Hopefully you can take advantage of these few tips in order to get your merciless killer rating. A merciless killer rating is ideally going to be a match where you sacrifice or kill all four of the survivors. However, it's not totally necessary. As long as you do well enough in the four categories, you should be able to still get away with it. As you can see right here, this was a game where we got 3 sacrifices, and the fourth and final survivor managed to just slip through our fingertips right here. But nonetheless, we were still good enough to get a merciless killer rating at the end of the day. You can check how well you did on the results screen by hitting right bumper once and going to the second page. These are going to be the 4 categories, so pay attention on what you need to improve. And eventually, once you do get your merciless killer rating, you should be good for the achievement. 20 gamer score, and that's all there is to it.